Namaste, Sakshi, Manasakshi. I am Priya Goteti. Welcome to Immigration Talk Show. Today we are thrilled to have with us attorney Mr. Naresh Gehi, founder of Gehi and Associates. He's a master of H-1Bs, employee-based immigration, handle very complex, complicated employee-based visas, and he's recognized as one of the super lawyers of the years 2023 and 2024. He's also widely recognized as the top immigration lawyer in USA and has been extremely, his work is being published in New York Times and Forbes magazine. And Mr. Naresh Gehi garu, today I'm very happy, I'm delighted to have you on my show, sir. Thanks for coming.
Priya, it's such a great pleasure being on the show with Sakshi TV.
Yeah, thank you. So, just for our viewers, now Sakshi TV has 5 immigration shows every week. Monday with Somi Reddy Law Firms, Tuesday with Kaveti Law Firms, Wednesday with Prashanti Reddy, Thursday with Naresh Garu, and Friday with Banu Ilender. So please tune in to ask your questions. If you're an immigration attorney and would like to join our special shows, please email us at us@sakshi.com or call us at 866-725-7441. So before we begin the show, please note that this show is only for information purpose only, not for any legal advice. If you need any legal advice, please contact the attorney directly, who is Mr. Naresh Gehi. Mobile number is 516-703-3767. I repeat, 516-703-3767. It's a USA number. If you're calling from India, please add +1 to the number. And you can also email at nmgehi@gehilaw.com. And Naresh Garu, today's hot topic is like Trump's impact on immigration, employee-based immigration. So everybody are worried, like most of the people in USA are H1s, L1s. So we are completely worried about what would be the new changes or what would be the impact on this immigration laws. So can you provide your insights, like how does this Trump administration will impact our employee-based
I've
immigration?
dealt with immigration for many, many years. I think I'm a senior attorney and who's literally seen every facet of immigration in this country under good administrations and bad administrations. Now, what is going to happen is you're going to see strict scrutiny in employment based immigration. Now, what does that strict scrutiny means? So, let's take some baby steps. You're going to file for an H1B or an IT consulting company. You're going to see a lot of RFEs and you're going to see arbitrary denials. Arbitrary means immigration says that I don't believe you. And this is not a specialty occupation. A specialty occupation is an occupation that requires the minimum attainment of a bachelor's degree or its equivalent from a foreign country. Immigration will say, well, example, it's a program analyst, one of the finest occupations. They'll say, I don't think so, we are convinced. You won't see denials. And most regular lawyers, they're going to throw the towel and say, we cannot do anything. We'll take it to the AAO. And the AAO is going to deny it. I don't work with those strategies. If needed, I take it to federal court. So, in a sense, I'm a federal lawyer. I handle very complicated employment based immigration cases. So, you're going to see a lot of scrutiny. You're going to see a lot of employer audits. You're going to see a lot of field visits from immigration officers visiting IT companies. And in my entire experience, what I've seen with a lot of IT companies, they just basically welcome officers, just show them everything without understanding the consequences of their actions. So I don't advise my clients to do that. I get in touch with the immigration officer, I follow the law, and I make sure that he gets what he wants, and I make sure that my employer is protected. So a lot of employer scrutiny, especially for IT companies. Now, in terms of the beneficiary, that's another thing. Now, there are some people who will have issues that, especially some STEM occupants who got letters which were not bona fide from employers that they worked over there. Some of them got letters from people, oh, work letter, he worked with me, but actually the person never worked over there. Now, that can actually kind of become a bone of contention for beneficiaries in those matters. Third thing which I'm going to see is this is very important, and this is an issue which is really never addressed by a lot of immigration lawyers because it needs a different kind of a mindset. You have to be you have to be someone who doesn't only do immigration, who's a litigator to understand this. Take an example. common problem at some some IT companies, like few of them, they have a consultant over here, and an company came to me and they were in trouble, and so what happened in one of the cases, the IT consultant told the beneficiary that I am going to help you. I'm going to continue H1B, and what you can do, give me the money in cash, and I'm going to run your payroll. Very wrong decision by the IT consultant and the company. Not many lawyers will tell you this tantamounts to the crime of structuring financial transactions, which is a federal crime. And also, if you're doing it on a mass scale, then you can have consequences under RICO, which is known as the racketeering and corrupt organizations. So, in a lot of conservative states, such as Texas, Florida, you're going to see a lot of employer scrutiny happening over there. This is what's going to happen. The next thing is what you're going to see is whether actually there is an employee-employee relationship, or whether this consultant is working on a third-party side, and whether the employer has effective control. Now, with IT companies, what we do is we have a special system. We actually make sure that we have enough documentation to prove that we are in full control of the employee. Now, what most IT companies don't have, I'll tell you, they don't have proper contracts, they don't have proper documentations, and they're all over the place. And some of them, not all of them, some of them have all these immigration paralegals who are not in lawyers they hire, and they do the paperwork. Now, the company may think that they're saving money, but they don't forget that there are sections of law that come into play always. Section 214 comes into play, Section 212 fraud comes into play, Section 221 comes into play. A good lawyer knows the law. Just by doing that paperwork and filing an H1B doesn't mean that you understood everything about an H1B visa. You have to be very careful. And this is what really triggers an audit. This is what triggers a red flag. And this is where companies and professionals get into trouble.
Okay. So, Mr. Naresh Gehi garu, so we have offices in Mumbai everywhere. So we have many attorneys, many lawyers who would be practicing. So what is the difference between your practice and other lawyers' practice?
Totally, we have more than 150 people working in my law firm. And in a sense, I am a federal lawyer. I fight cases in federal court. Just basically sitting on the desk, filing an H1B is not a job of a trial lawyer. So I fight cases in federal court. My name is on the federal court dockets, and we work those cases. Because when you face the courtroom and when you deal with this wonderful, brilliant lawyers in federal court, your mindset changes a lot. You understand the law better. You see what the government's position is. And most of these government lawyers are fantastic. I must commend them for the professionalism that I deal with them. And they're just wonderful. I'm talking about federal lawyers who are commonly referred to as AUSAs, Assistant US Attorneys. And they're just amazing. So we work with them. So you learn the government perspective, how a case is seen, and our perspective. Then, when you're dealing with an ID company, you see how the government is going to look at the case and make sure that you cross the I's and the T's to make sure you get the paperwork approved. This is the difference when you've seen the courtroom, when you've dealt with great judges. And I'm pleased to inform you that one of my students has become a judge, someone who trained under me has become a judge in the New York court over here in immigration.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
So I've trained people like who become judges in this country. And actually, some of the judges' families from the court of New York's state courts, they are my clients too.
That's amazing.
So we have, immigration officers' families as our clients, wonderful people. And so that's what we've achieved over a period of time.
Yes,
I've
yes.
written books on immigration, but you won't find a lot of people writing books. And of course, you know what my super lawyers. And above all, in 2016, I was a lawyer in the Trump model management case of Donald Trump. So I was a lawyer and I've been on ABC World News. And this is what I've done in the world of immigration. And besides immigration, we also help a lot of companies to look at the entire paperwork. Sometimes they have issues that may relate to mergers. They may have issue related to kind of basically an employee harassing them, employee. They may have issues about an employer harassing them. They may have issues about a company, a vendor not paying this company. Those things happen when the paperwork of that company is weak. So we help them to serve as counsels, and we work together, and we make sure it's a win-win for a lot of ID companies.
Yes, no doubt you have achieved a lot in employee-based immigration. You have handled many complex, complicated cases in employee-based. So coming back to our topic, I think in during March, April, we filed H-1Bs. So because of this Trump's administration, do we see any changes in H-1B lottery system? Like any changes in
This year, I don't think so. He's going to change it, but next
Mhm.
time you'll see a lot more changes in the lottery system. But it'll be too early for him. But I would say that it's already kind of a bad thing already. What is happening? It cannot get worse. But what you're going to see is the wages are going to go up as usual, and they want to make sure that American workers are protected, and they want to make sure that American people come first, then comes H-1B workers. So that's Baha. That's what they're going to look at.
So, what would be the implications, like Buy American, Hire American, would impact our employee-based immigration?
So the fees always they may think about increasing the fees. You're looking at site audits. You're looking at making sure that the job offer is bona fide. You're making sure that the pay stubs are in order. You're going to make sure that the LC is properly filed. And the other big thing which I see in ID companies, that's complete misguidance. They don't select the proper job title. And if an immigration officer comes to your doorstep, and if he sees that this is an abuse of title, you can be fined. These are things that, you have to be highly experienced to understand these issues.
Okay. Do we see any changes in LCA, like you said, job title changes or anything that we need to take care while filing the LCA?
Be careful when you file the LCA. Make sure that a good lawyer reviews it. Make sure they have a proper internal posting notice for 10 business days. Make sure that you cross the I's and the T's. Make sure that you have a proper folder. Make sure that whatever you're writing on the LCA and what you're writing on the internal job posting is perfect. Make sure that you give a notice to the employee of the filing of the NCA. Make sure you put it at two conspicuous places in your office. You cannot put it in the bathroom, in a place where people cannot see. These are common mistakes that a lot of employers do. I go for site inspections of some of my clients sometimes. I tell them, what is this? And they're like, thank you, Mr. Gehi. And they've been able to kind of, thank me for what I've done for them.
Yes. So, what would be the key effects for the public charge rule on immigrants based upon work visas?
So, under Section 213 of the INA, that speaks about public charge, in a sense, I would say it's very much applicable to family based immigration, the 7 year rule that we have to support. But on the whole, in the H1B context, it's not going to impact us very much. But if you're looking at the other context, it's going to definitely be very much impactful in the family based immigration process.
And another important thing when it comes for H1s or L1s is like H4 EADs, dependents working. So people are a little bit worried, will the EAD will still be there or it will be removed, or what happens to EAD holders?
That's $1 million question. That card has gone like up and down all the time. It's like one time the card is up, one time the card is down. And I'm thinking, there's one good thing that Trump has said, that people who have attained the US bachelor's degree, he's planning on giving them green cards. Hallelujah. So if that happens, most of these people, the spouses are bachelor's degree holders, they'll get the green cards. Spouses definitely will get the green cards, and it'll be a win-win. Let's see what happens. But also, there's another big concern that people are not talking about is that if they're going to deport so many people from the country, You have 11 million officially known people who are undocumented. Unofficially, you're looking at 15 to 16 million. Firstly, how are they going to deport them? What is the economic cost of deportation? And if you deport them, who is going to run the country? Who's going to do all those menial jobs in the country? That's a big question mark. So these are things they'll have to consider. So my understanding is that somehow they'll have to come up with a system sooner or later to make sure that H-1B visa holders they get the green card or something good happens. And that's what we're all concerned about. And because they've only, I would say, like the unsung heroes of this country, especially in the world of immigration, the unsung heroes, the H-1B visa holders. See, they go by the book, they live by the book, they pay their taxes. I mean, of course, there's abuse in every system in the world, but the amount of abuse is just minimal. So the question here is that exactly there should be something that should be done for H-1B visa holders and for people with labor certifications. But there's one big mistake that H-1B visa holders do, Priya. Do you know
Mhm.
what that is?
What is it?
And this is not what many lawyers talk about and they don't even know about it. It takes a creative lawyer to work with you. A good person who has a very good standing on an H-1B right now. So, for example, you're making $300,000 or $350,000. You have a degree, a master's degree from the United States, from an esteemed institution. If you work a little harder and if you work with good lawyers, you may even qualify for an EB-1A and get a direct green card. I've done this.
Okay.
So it takes a little more to be a champion. And if you're a champion and if you work with the right lawyers, you can make sure that you may have to not worry about waiting for the next 20 years. If you're from India, you can bypass the EB-3 and the EB-2 process and directly apply for a green card under EB-1A. Been that, done it, and you do not need a sponsor under the EB-1A.
Oh,
Direct, direct.
wow. That's amazing. So many people like think that EB1 is like far reach for them.
No. Because I'll tell you, the first mindset in Hyderabad is I'm talking about because I love Hyderabad, one of my favorite places, is that if I'm in America, I have to think about the EB-2 and EB-3. Nobody thinks about the EB-1. People in Hyderabad and in the South are so brilliant, they need to start thinking about EB-1A. A big disconnect because you have to be a very experienced lawyer to know how to interview a client and to see whether this hero is capable of working a little more. And if this hero can, let me tell you about a guy, Priya. Someone introduced me to this guy and a wonderful Gujarati family. He had 2 degrees and he was just sitting and doing nothing. And his aunt, she's been my client for a long time. She had been to many lawyers and she retained me years ago and she's been super happy. She told this guy, call Mr. Gehi. I told him, what are you doing? And I told him, he said, my life is finished. I'm doing nothing. I finished up my second degree just to make sure I'm on status. I said, fantastic job. He said, I think you're pulling a fast one on me. I said, no, I'm not. I made use of his 2 degrees, the one that he had. And he never expected in his life that he would qualify for the EB-1A. Guess what? I-140 approved under EB-1A, waiting for his green card, been to India, come back within 2 years. He's set. No more 20-year waiting. And the guy was continuing on student visa just to maintain himself. True stories.
Wow, that's like
Now, the
an
case I did, my associate was, I mean, I love talking to Priya. Is this, I mean, I don't only handle in cases, but prior results do not guarantee future outcome. This client, he was from Brazil, and he was one of the top musicians I met. So my associate worked on the case. She did a very good job. She put the paperwork in order. But in the end, when I read the file, I told my associate, I'm not very convinced. She said, why? I said, see the magic now. I had all the paperwork, but I presented the case in such a way that I put that he had one Grammy Award on the top and I put the rest of them down in order. You'll be surprised when we filed online. No sooner we got the tracking number that the case was received, we got the approval in before the receipt notice on that case for the I-140.
Wow. And for EB1, you're mentioning that there is no require for any sponsor. We can just apply it if you are eligible.
No, but you should be someone like who's going to who's making more than around 250, 300,000. People are making that kind of money in IT. And besides that, you should be someone who has a good master's degree. You should be someone who's ready to put in some time to write publications, etc., etc. And it's a 1 year process, not full time, part time, 20 hours a week working with a lawyer. You can easily do it. If you are brilliant, you want to a good Ivy League, why not? Because nothing succeeds like success, and there's no substitute to hard work.
Yes, yes. That's really interesting because I never thought like master's degree are common people. It's just interesting stories that I'm hearing that we can achieve EB1. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
so first,
I think about things which are outside the box because everyone can work within the box, but the fun is to work outside the box.
yes, we
And
always feel like yeah, EB1 is out of reach for us. It's like far away. It's for very high professionals kind of thing. So yeah,
a client of mine was an NH1B, and finally he couldn't find a sponsor. Nothing happened, and went to other lawyers. They said you have to go back home or go to a student visa. Guy said, I don't have that much money. I cannot go on a student visa. I found out that this guy could not go back to his home country because of some reasons. I applied for an asylum at that time for him. He was legal. Later on, when he found a job, I got him back on an H1B. It's all how basically a lawyer thinks. And there's another, I would say, like kind of mindset that needs to change with a lot of ID companies and with beneficiaries. H1B, H1B, H1B. Wrong. People say my H1B didn't get granted. I'm scared. Why don't you guys think about the O visa? Of course, you need good lawyers to work with you. The guy may be brilliant and he may qualify for the O visa, but a lot of work is needed from the lawyer's end and the person then to make sure because O does not require prevailing wages to be given. You don't have to be paid $75,000 prevailing wage. You can pay him $45,000. That's another good thing. There's no quota. Out of
so this
box.
is just for me. Can media persons apply for O visa?
Yes.
Okay.
Entertainment, arts, sciences.
Um, it's just like they have to be very famous, like achieved something.
Now, very famous as a subjective term. There's a saying that why do all these actors look so beautiful on the screen? The makeup.
Yes.
So if the makeup is beautiful, you look beautiful. If the makeup is not good, you won't look beautiful because beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Yep.
When I've seen this in the South, oh, he looks so handsome on TV. Or when I seen him, he was so ugly, man. It's the makeup. How you decorate the cake is not important, but how you ice the cake is more important than the decoration of the cake.
Agree.
Mhm.
So coming back to our topic, so because do we see any more denials or processing delays that will happen during this
Even
time?
if the cases get denied, I'm ready to fight. I was speaking to the retired chairman of the Board of Immigration Appeals. That's like among the top guys. My statement to him was that if that happens, Judge, I'm ready to fight. Retired chairman of the Board of Immigration Appeals. We are ready to fight. And he commented that we are ready to fight.
So
What is
they,
like to fight as a lawyer? Tell me.
yeah. Uh, the other thing which I wanted to check was like, do we have any H1B cap changes?
It's not going to happen. You're asking for the moon. If you wanted to go down, they'll agree with it. If you want to go up, they'll tell you go back. Sad.
So like you were mentioning, like whoever did masters here, will they get easier green cards?
They are planning on it. I hope that happens. From my mouth to God's ears. But there's one good thing here: people like Elon Musk and all these people from Twitter X, they may convince Trump to change the laws towards basically, favorable laws to employment-based immigration.
Yes. What other changes can we majorly see because of this Trump's administration?
There's one sad thing is that the doctrine of consular non-mobility under the Madhav Patel and Munoz came out, which are miserable decisions from immigration from the U.S. Supreme Court. Munoz says that if your relative or spouse is stuck abroad, and if the consular feels that this person, I don't want him in the country, unfortunately, your spouse will never be able to come to America. Then there's nothing left for us to even take it to final court under the Munoz decision, which is a very, very sad decision. So companies have to be very careful about one thing. When you're sending your consultant for stamping abroad, make sure that you have a seasoned lawyer because the law has changed. Supreme Court of the United States has given unfettered discretion to consulates to deny cases. And if they deny it, you're gone. And if they see a constant pattern, then your company, if it's engaging in any kind of fraud, or if there's an indicia of fraud, then the sad reality is that your company will be blacklisted.
Hmm. And also, we are hearing like birthright citizenship will be revoked or it will be removed. No longer it will be available. So, what is about it like birthright citizenship?
I read an article that the president's son over here was born when his spouse was out of status. So even if that happens in the future, the problem is that exactly, children born here will not have any benefits. They'll be citizens of the country from where they come from.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
someone wants to have a baby, this is the best time to have a baby before Trump comes into power. I'm just joking. That
So,
is revoked.
so
So
he won't change anything who has already like got the birthright, right?
it's not going to happen that easily because he's going to need a two-third vote. So, since I'm a constitutional scholar too, the chances of that happening are very less. But the sad reality is that, the administration has a majority in the Senate, in the House, and, that's not, and the president. Plus, the Supreme Court is very much kind of pro, conservative policies. So, I think there's a lot of damage can be done in the world of immigration.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gehi Garu, for giving all your valuable insights and sharing your experiences. And viewers, if you wanted to reach out to the attorney directly,
I'll
call
tell
the
you this is what they can do. My website is gehilaw.com, GEHILAW.com. And my email address is very important. It's nmgehi at gehilaw.com, nmgehi at gehilaw.com. And Priya, you have my phone number. If you could repeat it, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, 516-703-3767. 516-703-3767. It is a US based number. So if you're calling from India, please add +1. That is the country code. So thank you so much, viewers. And this is Priya Goteti signing off. Stay
And
tuned for more
this is
episodes.
this is an attorney advertisement. Prior results do not guarantee future outcome. Any views expressed by the firm are general in nature and do not apply to any facts or circumstances. And only if there's an attorney-client agreement entered into the parties, then only the information will be specific. Other than that, anything that you watched from Attorney Gehi and from the host is up to your own risk and consequences if you're filing your own applications. Thank you.
Thank you so much.